There's a case to be made that serious investing is not about gambling with meme coins, but actually getting into infrastructure that's established. Now, Uniswap is the largest decentralized exchange across all blockchains. And the question is maybe a bet on Uniswap better than just buying Bitcoin or Ethereum for long-term growth? In this video, we are going to look at the long-term usage data. We're trying to figure out whether or not Uniswap can hit again the $40, the $50, the kind of levels we have seen in the past. Because here is what happened with the UNI token. We are currently at $10.42, and at one point during DeFi summer, we were above $40. Uniswap is the leading decentralized exchange on the Ethereum chain, but it's also the leading exchange on the Base chain. It's number one on Arbitrum as well, and it's number 2 on the Binance Smart Chain and also number 2 on Polygon. So one can make the argument that Uniswap is somewhat of a diversified play, right? We're not just betting on a single blockchain, we're not just betting on Bitcoin or Ethereum, we are betting on infrastructure across various blockchains. Now, unfortunately, historically, the UNI token did not perform as well as Bitcoin. Here is the relative valuation of the UNI token relative to Bitcoin over the long term. So the chart starts in 2020. This is 5 years of data, and it peaked in May of 2021. UNI underperformed Bitcoin since then by 89%. Now, maybe this comparison is a bit unfair because Bitcoin is now outperforming everything else. The ETFs are buying Bitcoin. Michael Saylor with the Bitcoin treasury companies is buying Bitcoin. So there's long-term Wall Street demand for Bitcoin, which results in the Bitcoin dominance going up, right? So Bitcoin is becoming a larger share of all of crypto and is outperforming everything else, including Uniswap. So since Uniswap has most activity on the Ethereum chain, maybe a comparison of UNI relative to ETH is fair. When we do that, we get this chart here. Unfortunately, it's not that much better. It peaked in March of 2021 and since then underperformed by 86%. But there seems to be somewhat of a floor that has been established in May of 2022. What's the cause for that initial underperformance? And why does it seem like we're not underperforming anymore? Why did the price suddenly stabilize? I think the answer is in this chart over here. It's the circulating UNI tokens over time. How many UNI tokens are circulating? And this grew massively from 159 million to then 1 billion. So a 7x in the supply roughly. And that supply went to the community and to the team and to investors. And if the demand doesn't grow as quickly as supply, we tend to see underperformance. But since September of 2024, the UNI token is not inflationary anymore. And so it's not really a surprise that the underperformance has stopped. This is all aligning. It all makes sense. And so if the supply doesn't expand anymore, is there potentially a chance for outperformance in the future? Do we potentially still see growth in the platform that could fuel UNI tokens to new heights relative to Bitcoin and Ethereum? Let's try to find this out. This is the total value locked across all Uniswap protocols. So that's V2 and V3. And this is now measured in US dollars. Now, unfortunately, crypto is very volatile. And so, of course, the total value locked chart also goes up and down with that volatility. It's probably better to measure this in Ethereum. This chart is less volatile, but we do not see that much growth in the last months anymore. Measured in Ethereum, the total value locked on Uniswap tends to rather go down recently. There is a strong connection between the market cap of Uniswap and its total value locked, right? The market cap is in white, the total value locked is in blue, and the lines go somewhat hand in hand. Here's the trading fees that are generated on Uniswap. Unfortunately, again, it's not necessarily growing that much when we measure this in Ethereum. But just because something isn't growing today doesn't mean that it can't grow tomorrow, right? So the question is the team potentially working on something and is launching something that could generate a lot of attention again, that could generate a lot of usage again? Let's have a look at the commits. So that's how many code changes are made to the platform over time. And unfortunately, this is also going down recently, which is not necessarily a surprise, given that the team doesn't get any new tokens anymore. When there are token unlocks, the team gets paid in new tokens and is highly incentivized to push the price up to develop something new. If there's no new tokens getting issued, seeing development activity going down is not really a surprise. It's just expected. And so let's go back to the beginning of this video. The question, will Uniswap hit again $40 or $50? Now this is of course very hard to answer because all of crypto can go up. And if Bitcoin doubles and triples, it will pull up all other altcoins, including Uniswap. But will Uniswap in itself outperform by say a 4 or 5x? I've got my doubts. What we've got over here is the overview of decentralized exchanges. And it's ordered by market caps. Uniswap is at number 2. Number 1 is Hyperliquid. This is a decentralized perpetual futures exchange. So it's a bit different to Uniswap, which focuses on spot trading. But already looking at this overview, we can already see there isn't that much more potential in terms of outperformance, in terms of doing better than Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, what's recently moving the market most for the Uni token is not necessarily the spot market. It's the short-term leverage on the price. It's the perpetual futures. It's the bets with leverage on Uni. Because have a look at the trading volume in the last 24 hours. We had 57 million on BVOX, 52 million on Binance. And again, that's on the spot market. And compare this with the perpetual futures market. Over here, we had 236 million of trading volume. So really, the price discovery for the Uni token now happens on the perpetual futures, not on the spot market anymore. Now, most people that bet with leverage on the Uni token do so by getting additional price exposure. In other words, the longs have to pay the shorts to get more exposure. The funding rates are positive. But this chart here is very concerning. The bets on the Uni token went very, very steep. There's more and more short-term capital in the Uni price. Just have a look at how much open interest and the spot market correlates. When there's more bets on the price, the Uni price tends to go up. As the bets delever, the Uni price goes down with a delay. And recently we have seen a slight increase in the spot price, but we've seen much more expansion of open interest. So the perpetual futures market currently is artificially supporting the price. Once open interest goes down, the Uni price will absolutely get hammered. Also have a look at the trading volume of perpetual futures versus the spot price. There's also some correlation, right? When there's more trading volume, the spot price is high. When there's less trading volume, the spot price is low. Currently, we tend to be rather on the higher end in terms of trading volume. And so really, when we look at the Uni price relative to Ethereum, I'm not really sure if it makes sense to buy right now. Yes, just from a chart perspective, there might be some kind of outperformance of maybe 60 or even 100% and maybe less downward pressure of only 17%. But even if we hit this floor over here, I'm not so sure if it's a great time to get in because there's simply so much leverage in the price. The platform isn't growing anymore. Competition is rising and perpetual futures are taking over more and more of the trading action. And once we delever and this support gets broken, we might go really, really low. So I'm not optimistic. If there suddenly was a price rally in Uni, I will actually use that price rally to bet on falling prices. I think the long-term trajectory of Uniswap is not positive. I believe there's too much competition. I believe that innovation has gone out of the window because the team isn't developing anymore, because it's not incentivized to do so, because there's no new tokens hitting the market. Now it's interesting how those crypto cycles develop over time. As the price is going higher and higher, Bitcoin reaches new all-time highs, new people enter the space because the media is covering Bitcoin. People are wondering, should I also invest in the asset? The problem is most people don't just stick with Bitcoin. Most people want to figure out what's the next Bitcoin. Bitcoin is already high. Is there maybe another cryptocurrency that can do the 10x or the 100x returns? And that's then where crypto YouTube becomes a problem, right? Because many YouTubers pretend they know what the next 100 or 1000x altcoin is. Unfortunately, again, if you're trying to buy those altcoins, you're getting burned. Most people that enter the crypto space with those small altcoins just lose the majority of their funds. They have to make the losses first, then afterwards come to conclusions to potentially approach the market slightly differently. Because maybe that's you. In the last year, Bitcoin appreciated by 78%. But have a look at what those smaller altcoins did. how many of them did more than that? There is UPC, there is Cult, there's Dragon and Hosky, but the vast majority of these smaller altcoins lost massively. Now this is true for the altcoins from the market rank 900 to 1000. It's also true for the altcoins between 800 and 900. It's the same everywhere. Outperforming the already high return of Bitcoin is extremely hard. And I don't think the right approach is to find the one or two altcoins that might do so temporarily. There's another approach, and I'm using that approach for almost 4 years now. Had I just dollar cost averaged into Bitcoin, I would have gotten this light gray line in terms of return. But I got the return in black. So I outperformed just dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin massively. And it was not by trying to find the next Hosky or the next Dragon. Because here's how this channel is different. Most other channels, they take money from crypto projects or they buy a small crypto project and then use the YouTube audience just to shill the token, right? To just push up the token, generate some attention, then create some purchase orders with that and then dump on the audience. This is what most of crypto YouTube is doing. I never took any money from any crypto project and I never buy a cryptocurrency before talking about this here on this channel. I don't pump and dump on this audience. I'm also trying to be different by being more transparent, as in I share my performance. So the long-term performance versus Bitcoin we've just seen, but I've also now started trading with relative valuation bets using perpetual futures. Now this might have been a mouthful, but the idea is we want to bet on most altcoins doing worse than Bitcoin, Ethereum and Solana over time, because most altcoins go down over time. And here is when I started with perpetual futures trading. So this is a chart that's roughly 2.5 months only in duration. But during that time, I turned roughly 40K into roughly 60K, a 50% increase, again, in just 2.5 months. And I'm even going one step further. I don't just share my performance, I also want now the community to participate in that performance. I've launched a capital pool on a decentralized finance protocol called Hyperliquid, where a few select people get access to copy trading. So simply just provide some capital and get the same kind of performance. This started 2.5 weeks ago. It's so far up 4.7%. And I'm trying to push up the APR even further than that. The target is to maybe reach 50 to 60% APY. And here's how I'm doing this. I'm not trying to find the next altcoin. I'm not promoting small meme coins where I then dump on the audience. I'm doing the exact opposite. Because here's the reality of the altcoin market. Most altcoins work in a way of an expanding supply. So the project starts with just a small market cap and a small allocation of tokens that are floating. And then over time, the early investors, so the venture capitalists and the team and the other influencers that got paid in the token, they might get those tokens unlocked over time. So they don't get access to the tokens directly. They can only sell after a while. And they sell via that expanding token unlock. So what you see here is an example. This is the circulating BAL tokens over time. So this is Balancer. Balancer started out with roughly 19 million tokens and then expanded all the way up to 69 million tokens. The additional supply went to the founders, to advisors, to investors, and also to the usage of the platform. And so, surprise, surprise, Balancer underperformed Bitcoin very, very constantly. And this is just one small example. This website here, right, Tokenomics.ai, tracks how many tokens get unlocked over time. And on average, we have hundreds of millions of dollars that get unlocked. So if there is not as much inflow every single week in crypto, all those altcoins will do worse than BTC. And so the trick is really to turn this around. So instead of buying the next Balancer, instead of trying to find the next 10 or 100x altcoin, we are flipping the situation around. When the insiders are dumping, we make money. So here's what we are doing. We are betting on falling prices of Balancer and we go long in Ethereum. So suddenly we've got massive outperformance. We can go long in Ethereum, we can go long in Bitcoin. It's the same thing. Bitcoin, Ethereum and Solana are the only cryptocurrencies worth holding over the long term where we don't have to rotate too much. And since beginning of the year, this particular trade already made more than 100%. Now, isn't it better to get into a position like this instead of finding the outlier in a sea that's all red. It seems more straightforward, right? It seems more intuitive. Let's just buy an altcoin and hope we pick the right one. It's an easy strategy to explain, but just because it's easy doesn't mean it's profitable. People lose with this strategy, especially beginners that don't know what they're doing, that just believe all of those random crypto YouTubers that say they know the next 100 and 1000x return coin. So a chart like this is the reason why I've got this long-term outperformance versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin already has very nice long-term returns. I think it's around 30% per annum, given the inflows that we currently see. If we want to outperform this, we can just bet on the relative valuation. The garbage will stay garbage. The garbage will not suddenly turn around and become better than Bitcoin. And so have a look at the individual trades of our community, right? This is a few wins that are shared by the members. There are potentially even hundreds of percent in single trades. And what matters, of course, is risk management as well. Now, the vast majority of people in crypto lose, and that's in the nature of things, right? If we double our money, somebody else has to lose everything if the market as a whole isn't growing. Thus, if we want to get outperformance, we have to take it from somewhere. Now, my target with this community is to make the majority of us here winners within crypto. So the rest is okay to lose, but we want to be winners, and we do this by having an edge, by doing strategies that most people don't follow. And so here's my offer. I want to make everybody become a winner once they join this community, the premium community of this channel. And here's how I do this. You just have to watch two videos. This one over here, using perpetual futures on Hyperliquid to bet on relative valuations, and this one over here, risk management with relative valuation bets. It's very, very important you watch both of those videos. It's 1 hour in total, a bit more than that. And once you've watched that, I will share this trade with you. It's not Balancer, it's something else, but it continues to outperform extremely constantly as well. And I'm that confident in that trade that in case you do not make money with this trade in the first month, so if you enter on day 1, you exit on day 30 or 31, and you don't make money with the trade, then I will refund the entire premium membership fee for you. Yes, I do take a little bit of risk with that offer, right? There are some phases where this chart is not going up in the span of a month. But in general, the odds are very much in our favor that this will continue to print money. Buying this chart over here, again, which is caused by token inflation, is much, much better than trying to find the next Hosky based on a YouTuber that doesn't really know what they're talking about. And so here's that membership fee. It's $125 per month. Again, it gets refunded in case you don't make money with that first trade. Simply join, watch those 2 videos, execute on the trade, make your first money back, and then hopefully learn more along the way. Because that's the long-term plan, right? We want to skill up as much as possible, help each other in the community as well, share potential trading ideas, and then become the small group of winners in a vast sea of losers in this player versus player crypto game. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube or see you in Premium. Cheers!